Well, hello, Regina. I am so excited you're here with me today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Dr. Nawal. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yay. I know you are in this time of your quarter in which finals, they're just around the corner. So thank you for taking this moment with me to just chat with me.
Of course.
Wonderful. Okay, Regina, where are you originally from?
Well, originally, I am born and raised in Saipan, which is a Commonwealth of the United States, and it is the largest of the Northern Mariana Islands. And then in high school, I moved to Guam before moving here to California for college.
I see. Got it. So when you came to college, do you also mean your prerequisites too?
No, that was actually all over the place. My background is in business. So when I moved, it was up in Northern California for business school. And then I moved home for a couple of years before moving out here to Loma Linda.
Oh, you moved back home to Guam.
Yes, after my
Oh,
first undergrad degree.
wow. Okay, look at that. I didn't even know. Wow. Okay, very good. So your undergraduate was in business. Were you planning on having your own business, or what was the initial goal?
I think it was more of like what my parents wanted. And when my dad sat me down before I went to college, he kind of explained to me that business is kind of all around no matter what industry you go into. So it's something that's going to be valuable for life. Like you can't lose. So even if I were to study something else in the future, I can always use those business values. So I pursued that. I took business and I learned a whole bunch and majored in marketing, and then I went on to get my MBA as well from University of Guam.
Oh, wow.
It's a very different background.
It is, but boy, to think of how you can pair that up with nutrition is going to be great when you have like your own business, your own practices.
Yeah, hopefully one day. I
Mm.
mean, I don't see a lot with the title MBA RD, but I feel like, I'll use those skills.
Oh,
We'll
I,
see.
I guarantee you will. There are dietitians who have their MBAs too and doing so well. So you're setting yourself apart from others in a very nice way. So you're gonna have two masters when this is all said and done.
Well, right now I'm still under the BS program,
Got
so
it.
maybe a master's in the future, but I
Okay.
would like to get my RD license going first.
Yeah. Okay. I know. One step at a time. So,
Yeah.
okay. Very good. So then you were doing business, and then how did you come about to also add nutrition to the mix?
It was more like a personal journey. So looking at my personal like health ailments and then also helping others. So when I started seeing changes in my own body, both internally and externally, like with my energy levels, and then seeing my labs, like ever since I was young, I had a lot of like stomach issues and GI digestion issues. And I thought it was just like my body, you can't resolve it ever because I didn't know about nutrition and the natural remedies of that. And then also with my labs, like I always was like borderline iron deficient. But, like one day I'm like, you know what? There has to be more than taking pills, supplements, going to the doctor, all of that. So when I kind of looked into it, I kind of changed my lifestyle. I started working out, eating a little cleaner, and I saw those lab values change.
Wow.
And then I also had a coworker that I was working with years ago who I don't know if a lot of people know, but in Guam, diabetes is a very prevalent disease.
Oh.
And so she said that after her checkup, like her doctor is really concerned with her blood glucose levels and all that. So she came to me and she's like, I know you're interested in this and you kind of helped yourself with your research. So I kind of helped, guide her with a couple of things that I learned, like just my personal research before going to school. And I was thrilled when she came back a couple weeks later and she told me, she's like, my glucose levels are fine. And
Wow.
my doctor told me if I keep on this path, like I won't have to take medication and all that. So I thought, if I feel great about not just helping myself, but this one person, I
Hmm.
feel like this is what I want to do as my career and help thousands more.
Oh, wow. Wasn't that an incredible feeling to hear her say that?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then you thought, okay, this is going to be it. I want to help people with their health journey. And so then how did you decide where to go to school? You're all the way there in Guam. So how did you think of California, Loma Linda?
It's very far, but I mean, California, I was living up in Northern California, so I was kind of familiar with the state and all. It took a lot of prayer.
Mm,
It definitely was an overnight thing. It took me several years because I did have to take a lot of prereqs as well, since my background was in business.
right.
So I had to take a bunch of like science courses. And then I was also working full time and in a couple of nonprofit orgs. So I prayed a lot and I did a lot of research and I looked into Loma Linda, but it was actually church friends that told me about it, and they really encouraged me. They're like, I think you should apply. And I'm like, I don't think I'll get in. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this. I should just stick with my career. I was just comfortable where I am.
Hmm.
But I think God worked in a way where he helped me and he opened door after door after door. And I told him, I said, okay, if I can get into this class, take my prereqs, or okay, if I get accepted, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think with that, he helped me kind of change everything because my background went from corporate business and real estate all the way going to like nutrition dietetics. And when I first brought it up to my family and friends back home,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, there were a lot of naysayers. They were kind of like, what? Like, are you sure you're going to do that?
Mm,
Why? What are you going to go back to school again? So I
yeah.
think God led me to this path, and I am so thrilled that He did because I'm so happy and I can't wait to start my career.
I love hearing that. I definitely love when I hear students or alumni, you always go back to saying you were asking God to lead you and guide you. And it was not just a one-time prayer thing, but you were sticking with having that conversation with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But was there anything though in your first jobs, like in real estate, that also made you go, yeah, I can't see myself doing this for long? Or
Uh,
was it just, mm, it was okay?
yeah, it was a lot of that. I mean, I'm not going to say that I definitely regret it or anything because
Yeah.
every job that I took up till now, it's a learning experience. Like my dad said,
Beautiful.
all your knowledge, it's kind of in your tool belt.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm still utilizing those skills now and I'm sure I'll use it in the future. But like you
Definitely.
kind of mentioned, I woke up every day and I started realizing, I'm like, man, this is not my passion. I honestly have more fun coming up with recipes or searching stuff with nutrition, learning about it on my own,
Yeah.
outside of work than actually going to my actual job. So I'm like, why am I doing this? Do I see myself doing this for the next 40, 50 years or whatever? So that's when I kind of started praying about it. I'm like, you know what? I think I need a change in my life.
Yeah. It was nice that you were open to whatever God would say the direction was going to be.
Oh yeah, it's never easy, but I think if you listen hard enough and you put
Mm.
your trust in him, he will lead you in the right path.
Oh, amen. Now, I'm curious to know, I'm just going to rewind a little bit. What changes did you make in your own personal nutrition back then so that you got better with your GI situations or, what you went through?
Okay, so back then I did see a dietitian that was working locally. And,
Oh,
and then I was also pairing it with just personal research,
yeah,
very elementary, of course.
yeah, no, but
And I kind of learned about like gluten sensitivity, simple versus complex carbs.
hmm.
And honestly, like when I first moved back home after college, because I gained like the freshman 15 and all that, and I just didn't have the energy level and I didn't feel great about my body.
I see.
Um, and I saw that my brother was making changes too. And he's like, oh, start eating yogurt. I'm like, what is yogurt? So going from all the way from what is yogurt to like now, I feel like I've grown a lot.
Oh,
Just making small changes and eating more foods that are, um, that are great with like iron or other nutrients, things like that.
hmm.
That's kind of how I changed it. And it's still a work in progress, of course, and I'm constantly learning.
Yeah. But you have made enough valuable changes to make a difference already so that you are feeling so much better than you did back then.
Oh yes, 100 times better.
How incredible. I just love how that testimony alone speaks to how powerful food is.
Yep. And I didn't want to go on medications or anything. And it was like the first time I heard my glucose levels were high, and I'm like, what? I'm like in my 20s. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But like with those lifestyle changes, what's really great is when you're not focused on things like weight loss or one particular thing, you just want to live better and have better energy.
Yeah.
That's when I started seeing changes and like the better energy levels, and just my weight just came off.
Yeah. Isn't it freeing when you don't focus on your weight, but you're focusing on how does God want me to take care of my body, to take care of his temple?
Yeah.
Amazing. Ooh, fabulous. So then, what made you go, okay, I'm going to make this trip out to Loma Linda?
I was looking for coordinated programs, and I
Oh,
looked all around the US, and I was looking at a couple schools in the East Coast as well.
oh,
Um, but when I opened up to my brother, I asked him, I said, which school would you, yeah, I guess, better see me going to? And he goes, I think you should go to Loma Linda because you need some structure in your life. So, I mean, maybe he meant it as like a joke, or maybe there's a little bit to it, but
I
I
love it.
really took that to heart. And then I also talked to a couple of other friends and family members, and they're like, I think I see you more in Southern California than I do see you like in New York.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay. So I kind of researched more, and I'm like, okay. So when I finally got that acceptance letter, I was ecstatic, and I'm like, I talked to my parents, and they're like, just do it. Don't wait for the other schools. Just go for it.
Wow, incredible. Oh, we're so happy to have you. And I mean, I remember when we were doing a Zoom interview with you, but I already knew you had this great personality with so much eagerness to move forward with your career. And I'm like, oh, she's going to be really good for our program.
That's nice to hear.
I remember. I remember. Were there any challenges then, like leaving Guam, coming here, or it was fine, the transition?
Oh man, there were so many challenges,
Oh, really?
but I mean, it's far. And I think it was a very, very difficult choice because it wasn't just about me going back to school and changing my career and my life, but it was also a huge support from my family. Like without them, I wouldn't have made it all the way here. I mean, just little things that people may not really think about, like getting an apartment, moving your car, doing all these, buying furniture.
Wow.
And then like, okay, what am I going to do? Not just financially, but my decision to move away for, I don't know how many years away from my family, my friends, things like that. And especially my little nephew, I didn't want to leave him because I'm like, okay, well, what if he forgets me? And I really want to be there when he grows up. But, I prayed about it, and I was like, okay, I think this is the right move. Like, I need to do this for myself.
Wow. Oh my. Yes, there were so many factors. I think I would have been like, all those things that you listed, I probably personally would have been like, no, I can't do it. I love your strength. I love your strength, Regina. Oh, wow. And so you finally got to Loma Linda about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and you were used to being up north where it's much cooler.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have Southern California, and it's like so different. Hot in the summertime. What were your thoughts when you first got here?
I mean, it gets hot, but Guam and Saipan are tropical islands, so I kind of grew up with that weather,
Oh,
more on the humid side. So this was a little different. It
yeah,
was like being in an oven, especially this past summer.
yeah.
But
Oh,
I love it. I mean, everyone that I've met here is amazing. I love the places, and I could definitely see myself building, putting roots here and building future here.
ah, so wonderful. I love hearing that. And so, what has it been like being a student at Loma Linda? And now you are a second year student.
Yes.
Mhm.
Being a student at Loma Linda, man, there's a lot,
Yeah.
but I've definitely met a lot of great people. One of my best friends, I met through the program, and some of the best professors like yourself that I
Aw.
really do look up to and have learned a great deal from. And I, look forward to learning a lot more, even after when I've graduated from the school. I love that it's a Christian environment as well, because people are very open about talking about God. And um, a couple years ago when some stuff happened to me, I kind of stepped away from the church and pulled away from God. But I think like this journey and him bringing me to Loma Linda was his way of saying, "Hey, come back."
Ah,
So, I'm glad that I'm here.
yes. Oh, wow. Boy, you sure have a story to share and how God has led and brought you here. And you're in a class in which COVID just like took over in the middle of your first year. And none of you in your class signed up to have online classes. And so my heart goes to you guys because it's like, whoa, yes, it was okay. You had 2 quarters on campus, and then starting your third quarter until now, it's online. So your class has had to make an adjustment, and all of you have been so amazing in hanging in there with us.
Yeah, I think we all needed to make adjustments, not just the students, but also with the professors and faculty. I mean, you guys are the ones that have to pull up the PowerPoint and lead the class and all that. So, like, I mean, there's been a lot of tech issues on both ends, but I think we learned to cope. And it's, I try to see it like in a positive light where it's taught us all a lot of things. Like, we're a little more tech savvy now.
Oh my goodness, so true. Even though I still run into glitches at time, but yes, way more tech savvy. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that we don't have to stop the schooling. That was like my biggest concern. I'm like, okay, I moved all the way out here. Are they gonna make us stop schooling? What am I gonna do? Do I just stay here or not? So it was great that there is Zoom and there's, all this technology nowadays, and we could continue. And also with our rotations this past summer. So I'm like, oh my gosh, please do not delay graduation.
No, and I did not want that for any of you. So I'm glad all faculty and, God orchestrated that whole quarter. I mean, he's orchestrated it from the beginning, but yeah, for all of you, 22 of you, to do your community and administrative rotations
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
So all of you are still on track, still on schedule.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah,
Hopefully we'll continue to do so.
right, exactly. And so, Regina, what about for you? I know you made changes prior to coming to Loma Linda to help with your own health journey, but what are the practices that you do now or still do that you're like, okay, this is a regular thing that's so important for me to do on a regular basis?
Okay, well, three things that I do. One is I try to stay hydrated at all times, especially the weather is so dry out here. So
Hmm.
if I go out, I mean, obviously not so much nowadays, but when I do leave my house, I always carry a water bottle with me. So I always have water because, in case you're out for a long time.
Right.
The second thing is when I build my meals, I cook a lot at home, or even if I'm eating out, I try to center it around like what are my fruits and vegetables, my fiber intake. And then I think about, okay, where am I getting my proteins from, my healthy fats, my complex carbs. So I kind of try to keep it balanced. And like with every meal, I try to have at least one serving of fruit or vegetable with it.
Mhm.
Um, and then the third thing is I
Mhm.
try to incorporate daily movement,
Ah,
whether it's like yoga, hit workout, running. It just kind of try to listen to my body and see what it feels like, and also switch it up so I'm not bored with it.
oh, that's key. That's excellent. All those I love. But you know what? For a movement, that is something we need to keep in mind is variety.
Mhm.
Because if we're always doing the same workouts too, ooh, that could lead to overuse and then injury. So you're a smart girl for your very young age to know how to do things right from the get-go. Thank you for sharing that. Is there any favorite verse in the Bible or a favorite saying that you go by on a regular basis to help get you through life?
Um, don't know about helping me through life, but there is a verse that caught my eye a couple years ago
Okay.
that I kind of saved on my phone and I've loved it ever since. And it's the verse of Mark chapter 10, verse 9. And it says, therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. And like, I know it's a lot of like a wedding verse or whatever, and I'm not married yet, but I am a proponent of healthy relationships. I mean, after all, what we learn is like whole person care.
Beautiful.
So I feel like that verse kind of speaks loudly, not just for marriage, but for all relationships.
Oh, Regina, I love that. I have only seen that verse through the lens of, okay, we should only keep that verse for the wedding, people's weddings. And thank you for bringing that to the forefront, that it's in all things, in all relationships. That is so beautiful and so helpful. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your life, sharing your journey thus far. And before we end though, I'm going to ask, what is your ultimate goal? I didn't tell you this beforehand, but what is your ultimate goal once all is said and done? Once you're done with your degree, you have RD by your name.
My ultimate goal, like career wise or
Yeah, career wise.
okay, my ultimate goal career wise, I hopefully will find a niche that I'm going to go into. I'm looking at a couple. When I first came in, I was looking at pediatrics, and then I'm also interested in sports nutrition. But now I'm starting to look into other, I mean, it's such a huge realm, like
Right.
nutrition and dietetics. So I'm looking into other niche, and we'll see where I go from there. Maybe open up my practice someday.
Excellent. Because I know you do great in your counseling sessions. I've been seeing it. So I know that's in your future.
I'll still have a lot to learn, but thank you for that vote of confidence.
You're welcome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Regina, for all that you've shared. You have encouraged and inspired me, but I know those who are listening will also be just as encouraged, also in their relationship with God. Thank
Awesome.
you
Thank
so
you so much.
much. Thank you for taking this time.
Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm very honored to be here.
Thank you.